Let's be honest, the 29th of August 2021 was not a good day for Formula 1. Some could argue it was 2005 US Grand Prix eclipsing levels of bad. The Belgian Grand Prix was marked with seemingly endless delays, underpinned by poor communication, where at times even teams and officials appeared to not have a full grasp of the rules. The day ended with questions over whether the final decisions taken were even correct, and perhaps most concerning were the suspicions that they had more to do with money than what was right for racing. Among the teams and drivers, other than maybe Verstappen and Russell, who maximised in qualifying, the 75,000 fans at the track plus those watching at home, there was a general feeling of frustration. How can we have awarded points, even half points, without there being any racing at all? So what have we learned and what needs to change? Firstly, F1 and the FIA do deserve a huge amount of credit and praise for so much of what transpired on Sunday. The championship's history features wince-worthy moments where responsibility for safety calls were left down to individuals. Examples could be Niki Lauda at the 1976 Japanese Grand Prix or Alain Prost at the 1989 Australian race. Thankfully, motorsport has moved on since such times, and the decision not to press ahead with racing in difficult conditions at a track where Antoine Hubert lost his life just 2 years ago was entirely correct. The real issue here is the 2-lap minimum rule for race classification. It's long sat in the regulations without issue, as it's never been met or needed, with the previously shortest race in F1 history being the 14-lap Australian Grand Prix in 1991. Yet what happened on Sunday showed that if we need 2/3 distance for full points, then why not 1/3 distance or 25% distance to award half points? It seems silly that what happened after 6 PM on Sunday constituted a race under the regulations. And F1 boss Stefano Domenicali is set to discuss possible rule changes with the team bosses in the wake of what we saw on Sunday. Hopefully, such a provision is never required again, but if it ever is, F1 can hopefully learn from this situation. What it showed was a lot of the rulebook needs to be simplified. One thing that became painfully clear through the rain delay and after the race is how complex, confusing, and tangled F1's rulebook is right now. Even after the, quite frankly, ridiculous podium ceremony began, questions started to be asked about the validity of the race result, given the red flag countback rule meant the result was taken from the end of lap 1, rather than the presumed 2-lap minimum. The FIA clarified that because race winner Max Verstappen had crossed the control line 3 times, he had met the minimum requirement under the regulations, despite the 1-lap classification seemingly contradicting that. During the red flag, there was also confusion about when the race had actually started, or if it had started at all. Was it 3 PM or 3:25 PM local time when the 3-hour rule kicked in? It wasn't until Masi clarified this over the team radio, after a question from Mercedes asking specifically had the race started, it became clear where things stood. There was also then the confusion over Sergio Perez's participation in the race after his crash en route to the grid. Masi initially, and rather firmly, told Red Bull that it could not repair his car during the delay, only for sporting director Jonathan Wheatley to challenge this. And, after Masi met with the stewards, he was informed that actually he could get his driver back in the race. But then there were questions about, would he be a number of laps down? Linking back to what constituted, what actually was the race start. Just as with the 2-lap rule, the events at Spa on Sunday will hopefully lead to reviews of the relevant rules to ensure there's greater clarity for everyone. Hamilton's post-race comments were punchy and are unlikely to have gone down too well with F1 itself, as he criticised the series for making a bad choice. But throughout everything he said, he had one thing in mind: the fans. Hamilton said he hoped that fans would get their money back after being robbed of a race, but F1 boss Domenicali seemed to skate around the subject when he was asked about it, saying it would be a discussion with the promoter. After all, F1 did technically provide a race. A full refund may be a big hit for the race promoter to stomach, and given fans got all of the scheduled action on Friday and Saturday, there is grounds to say that the 3-day tickets were at least partially fulfilled. But hopefully some common sense does kick in. Even if fans who attended the race on Sunday received some kind of credit towards a ticket in 2022, it would be some reward for their stoic attitude through Sunday's downpour. Alternatively, another round at Spa in 2021 would be great, given the ever-shifting calendar. And it has precedent. It's what happened in 1985 when the new Spa surface broke up and the event was abandoned before being restaged 2 months later. With a TBC slot on the current schedule and the strong possibility of more races being lost to this infernal pandemic, this seems pleasantly logical. If that's not possible, F1 needs to put its money where its mouth is to win back any fans it lost with the 2020 Belgian Grand Prix farce. But there are other factors it should consider too. Start times also must surely become flexible, and NASCAR and IndyCar can postpone races by a day to get racing in if bad weather strikes. So that must be something the pinnacle of motorsport can at least assess. After all, this might not be the last true sporting contest lost to such unfortunate circumstances. What were your opinions of the Belgian Grand Prix, and what do you think F1 and the FIA need to do to make sure it doesn't happen again? Let us know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like and make sure you're subscribed for future videos. We will see you next time.